Night of the Living podcast is always ad-free for patrons at patreon.com/NOTLP.
Welcome to Night of the Living podcast. We're doing TV Halloween specials, which is my second favorite month. Hispanic Heritage Month is always my favorite because we get to hang out with Lewis. But I'm Freddy. That's Amy.
Yes, hello.
Andy is on remote.
Yeah, hello.
And we found out
feel bad for all the other months.
Yeah, all the other months are just second fiddle to the TV Halloween specials. And
They can hear you. You're not supposed to pick a favorite month.
Well,
they're all special in their own way.
Done did it.
January. It causes them to feel that they don't live up to your expectations, and they can resent you later in
Bad
life.
dad energy.
I'm looking at you, August.
Bad dad.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah. So we went
Kicking it off.
I just wanted to say too, we got to the drive-in this year, and we went all the way out to the Skyline Drive-in in Shelbyville, Indiana, because there's a group called Terror in the Isles, and they put on every year this mass drive-in massacre.
No, it's drive-in. Is it called Terror in the Isles?
The group is Terror in the Isles.
Oh, okay.
They're like
The show's called The Drive-In Massacre.
but this event is called the Drive-In Massacre.
Dusk Till Dawn horror movie marathon with guests, vendors, really good fried food.
Oh my God. Yeah. For drive-in
Fried
food, it was
cheese
excellent.
curds.
We got a pizza and everything.
And everything.
Hey, you believe it?
They'll serve you breakfast in the morning.
We have our friends, the Allison family, who Luke Allison, his trailer for The Artist, is that right? Or The Painter? The Painter.
The Painter.
I always keep getting that mixed up.
Second place.
Second place. The first night they had those trailers on Friday. Then Saturday, we weren't there Friday, but Saturday we got to see all the 50s movie trailers.
It was awesome.
There were some really cool things
There's some
in there.
very clever people out in this world.
Yeah, who just make things for fun.
Yeah.
And then
For the joy of it.
You know, we saw My Bloody Valentine, and then after they had a Q&A with the director, which was really nice and well done.
He was very enthusiastic about the event.
Yeah. That
Very
movie,
cool.
I still
And
love
very
it.
Canadian.
Oh, yes. Well, the movie is so Canadian.
Yeah. All that Molson, eh?
He's sorry about it, though. He's real sorry about it all.
We are all three of us are fans of My Bloody Valentine.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so. I was surprised that they didn't show the unrated one with the extra gore scenes in it. I don't usually like chomp at the bit for that sort of stuff, but
Jeez,
it really,
you gorehound.
it's got some good, they're impactful. You know what I mean? The ones they cut are actually, they're not just gore for gore's sake. They're kind of artfully done. But at the same time, I get it.
It was still fun.
This is the one people remember seeing anyway.
Then I snoozed a little bit during Reanimator.
Yeah, which you had just, no, you had, how many times have you seen Reanimator?
One time.
One time.
One time. And it was probably 10 years ago plus.
Before we went to there. So you still haven't really have a fresh 100%
I need to.
sit through, huh? I want to
Yeah.
watch Bride of Reanimator again because I don't really remember that one too much.
Once the time passes 9 p.m., I can't be trusted to stay awake.
Yeah, and we're doing a Halloween League, which is our 31-day where our listeners and
31 for
patrons-
31. We've got 31 movies we're watching and 31 days of Halloween. Halloween. I meant October,
We're on
which is Halloween. They are synonymous.
night 8. It's the 8th night of Halloween League.
Yes. What's on
Traditionally,
What's on our agenda this evening?
this is our second time doing this. Tonight it's Upgrade,
Upgrade.
which Matt picked.
All right.
Yeah. So that's our
Interested.
patron, Matt.
I've
Matt
not
F.
seen it.
Yeah. And former.
How you been doing,
contributor.
Andy, with your 31 for 31?
Oh, I'm keeping up. I mean, it's the first week, so we'll see.
What are you
how long
watching
it lasts.
today?
Today I think I'm gonna watch Asylum. It's this Amicus or Hammer.
Oh,
It's one
yeah.
of
It's the
those.
anthology.
It's an
Okay.
anthology. Some people are telling me about. That's really good. So I'm gonna
Alright.
check that out.
I think you're going to like
Fun.
it. It's exactly like every other Hammer anthology movie.
It's got a Cushing in it, so of course it's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be good.
Yeah,
Sign of
they're so
quality.
consistent. Those Hammer and Amicus anthologies are so they feel like a TV series almost. They're so
Right.
consistent. And they did do a Hammer horror TV series, which was also excellent. If you like that stuff. I love
Cool.
anthologies.
I know that is sort of your thing.
I just finished a rewatch of The Twilight Zone, the original
Mhm.
series, and now I'm in Night Gallery for a third viewing. And I still am not sick of it. It's so much fun.
He likes some bite size.
I
His
do.
stories.
We recorded a tiny little Topicana that I don't know if we're going to release or not. We just kind of did it in the car on the way to the
Yeah.
drive-in because it was the only
Hope the
time we
audio
could do
turned
it.
out okay.
It
Yeah,
did. I
wonder.
listened to the playback. It sounded fine.
We were just goofing.
So you'll get a Topicana soon. It might be the original one that Amy had planned for the power outage time.
Yeah.
And then so we apologize for the delay in that.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
We have a couple of classic NOTLP interviews up in Origins right now on our Patreon page.
Patreon.com/NOTLP to get all the bonus content.
Yeah.
Top Cana week early when it does come out. Sorry about that. It's been hard with the power outage and then just life.
And expecting another hurricane to hit the west coast of Florida. And we have friends down there and family too. Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Milton. Come on. What kind of name is that?
Yeah, for one of the predicted to be one of the worst hurricanes.
That is such a weird name for a ferocious storm.
But he did say
Milton.
he's like, I'm going to burn down the building.
This is true.
Yeah, it's always the ones you don't expect.
It's always the quiet ones.
The red staplers.
Except we've been
I mean,
expecting him for a while.
I think Helene was very apt because Helene just sounds like a bitchy name.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
works for the church, but like she doesn't act right. Very Christian. You know what I mean?
She's on the she goes to church a lot. She's on the HOA.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Oh
very
yeah, she
strict
runs an
about it.
HOA for sure.
Helene, I'm begging you, please don't take my storm
Home.
name.
My possessions.
My city.
All my worldly
My
possessions.
life.
for
Jesus
my life.
Christ.
At least,
It's all very scary, but that's okay. We can all just be anxious together.
there is a chance it could wind down, they said, like,
Hey,
but then again, that happens. I don't understand
We're not
it.
speculating because what are we going to sound like in a week?
What?
It
Right.
wipes the state off. They're
Oh my
very
God.
bad.
It's so
If-
scary.
But part of Florida just detaches.
Oh my God.
And then
Please
they're-
no.
and
I
then
hope
they're-
not.
They're just become an island.
All this is
Is that
super
how
scary.
land works, Amy?
I don't know how anything works. I'm just scared.
I mean, like,
and I live in Ohio.
yeah. But regardless,
It's scary stuff.
it's-
you gotta
got
laugh.
People down there too.
And you got to talk about dumb stuff. It's Halloween TV specials time.
Yeah. So we're gonna hopefully lighten the mood.
That's the plan.
If-
Stanley.
If no one else's but our own.
Yeah, no more hurricane talk, let's say. How about we just talk about the election instead?
Turn the lights, it's the main attraction.
All right,
Hey,
Amy.
it's my main attraction, you silly billies. We're doing this beauty before boys. I don't know. I'm going first with Halloween TV specials this month. And you're going to have to
You're a
listen to us talk about my lady shows, Newhart and Beverly Hills 90210.
Is Newhart a lady show?
It is now. Just made sense in the moment.
'Cause she's a lady.
It's a very gentle show. And if you think of women as the gentler sex, then
Yeah.
there you go. But
Was
No.
this Take Us to Your Loudon or
so this is Newhart. We'll start with Newhart.
yeah.
The very first episode of Newhart I've ever seen.
Really, Andy?
How did you do that?
It's from season 6. It's called Take Me to Your Loudon.
Well, when did Newhart start winding down?
Around
In-
90, I think.
I don't remember.
I think it said
I'll-
88 or something like that.
That sounds about right.
But at that point, I was a child, so I wasn't watching
Yeah.
sitcoms or anything like that.
It last episode aired in 1990.
I was a Larry,
90,
Daryl, and
okay.
Daryl fan to my very core.
I mean,
Okay.
I did watch sitcoms, but I don't remember watching Newhart.
And it's not odd that you maybe weren't attracted to watching it. It's odd
Well,
that you
it-
never were forced to watch
No.
it
Well, I
as a
think-
kid.
I think back then it was more of an old person sitcom.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
My parents
and-
loved it though.
And I don't remember it ever being on syndication, so I don't think I ever got an opportunity to watch it.
No.
Huh. What did you
No.
think? Well, I'm really curious about what you thought then overall.
It's interesting.
There's a
don't know.
lot of inside jokery. This is season
Yeah.
6, right?
Yes.
This is when Newhart's been on the
there's-
air a while.
There's a lot of characters.
Yeah.
And I feel they have established personalities and
Mm-hmm.
their roles in the show.
Yeah.
That was easy to figure out, but I feel that people who watch the show will get the jokes more than I
Yes.
would.
That's so true. Even if in non-serialized shows, the character is serialized in a way. The characters, because you build on them every time you watch them.
Oh yeah.
You learn something new, hopefully, or you reinforce something about that character. And so you can have a non-serialized sitcom that runs for 100 episodes, but still you're not going to get the Tweedledee Tweedledum joke in this unless you've been watching it for a while and you know these two knucklehead characters
I love
and
those
why
too.
it's funny that they
Okay.
are Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Another question, is everybody in the show a buffoon?
Yes.
Everybody
for
but
Newhart?
Dick.
And sometimes Dick.
Bob Newhart is Dick Loudon.
Okay, yeah. And are we supposed to see them as buffoons?
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
Newhart is like a curmudgeon?
Yes.
But after a while,
Correct.
They make Newhart is never as dumb as the other characters are, but sometimes he is sometimes he is. You know what I mean? Sometimes
Okay.
there's episodes where he's just another one of them. Like and those are usually
It's
the
mostly-
like earlier ones.
Yeah. He's mostly curmudgeonly, like this
Yeah.
episode. This one
Okay,
is
'cause
yeah, go ahead.
watching this as an adult, I'm like, I'm a Newhart.
Yeah.
I'm on his side for sure. Yeah.
And I felt guilty because like it's all these wacky characters and I was like rolling my eyes at them and got exhausted by them.
Yeah.
Is that how we're supposed to see them?
Daryl.
Somewhat. There's
no,
some
you're
love
supposed to
there.
love it. So
But well, you also got to know about Dick is whenever Dick
what you
is
need to know about Dick.
because the town. What's the town called again? Stratford.
No, that's Stratford Inn.
It's the Stratford Inn.
I don't think they ever named the
They
town.
never say what the town is. Okay. Well, the Stratford Inn in Town X of the show, which is in
Vermont.
Vermont. Bob Newhart is the smart, put together one until he leaves town. If they have an episode where he goes out of town, he's the bumpkin usually at that point. They switch it up because he writes instructional
buffoon.
manuals, and he considers himself like a writer kind of. But what he writes are things like how to build a bookshelf, like books like that. And he's
Yeah.
not really famous.
Does he own the inn?
Yes.
He bought
Okay.
the inn. Yeah.
Him and his
And-
wife.
And Joanna, that's his wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a mean lady.
She's a
Was she mean in this one?
well. They push him around a lot.
Yeah.
To the other blonde lady, she was
Oh,
kind
well,
of
oh,
Stephanie?
really?
Nikki.
Okay. So, see, I would have been the other way around. I thought she was being kind to somebody who was being an asshole to her. Isn't that funny?
Set up the scene.
Stephanie is a shade queen.
Yeah.
okay. Well, it's because of the Stephanie that I guess she's the waitress there or something.
She's entitled, spoiled
Yeah.
brat.
Well, and Joanne's just barking orders at her,
That's true.
and calling her
The
like
maid.
a maid and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I'm just going off this one episode I've seen.
Yeah, but Stephanie deserves it.
Isn't that interesting?
Okay.
In this episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does really.
This is
deserve
an
it.
odd episode if you're not already a fan of Newhart because one, everyone's in costume. Two, every character's in the episode. Every single role I think in the series is there except for the guy who disappeared in the second season.
Yep.
And it's also not really about the characters, but there's none of it's really fueled by what any character really wants, but it's just this idea
Okay.
that the local station is running this movie and everyone's falling for a War of the
Yeah.
Worlds thing again.
Yeah, and
Yes.
all the characters are dialed up to 10.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's season 6.
Is that normal?
No.
No, I'd say this
Okay.
is season 6, and things started to get maybe more broad or wacky.
The show got way
but
worse.
it's a Halloween episode, so it's a silly dumb episode. It's a throwaway, right?
Yeah, but I'm going in as somebody
Yeah.
who's never seen this. So
Right.
these are just my first impressions, and as it was enjoyable enough, but if this was my first episode, I was like, I don't know if I can watch the other series if it's like this.
Oh, I think it's just a balm for the soul. What I think is really cute, one of the first jokes is George, who's the handyman, and he reveals that he's a late in life trick or treater, like he had just stopped trick or treating the year before, and he's probably 60.
I love
And I
him.
think that's amazing, and I say do it. The
You-
older I get, the more
Yeah,
the
he
older my
reminds me,
trick or treat limit gets.
Remind me a lot of the handyman from Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, Teddy.
Oh, Teddy. Yep.
Yeah, Teddy.
Speaking of Bob's
Got that
Burgers,
vibe.
Andy, have you watched the most recent episode?
I haven't watched Bob's in a couple years. so-
Okay, just watch. If you watch the most recent one, it's ironic the timing. It's all about a drive-in movie
Yep.
theater and how they're struggling to stay in business and all that. It's a really sweet episode.
And I also noticed is that that 80s sitcom thing where they laugh at every single thing
Yes.
that anybody says, no matter how innocuous.
Yeah, the studio audience.
They gave them
Yeah.
laughing gas, I think.
You know what's really enjoyable and in a stark contrast to this episode is if you go back and watch the first season of Newhart, it's like a stage play and they really earn the laughs they get. And when something doesn't land, there isn't any laughter.
You get a little complacent if you're Newhart and you're top of the
Yeah.
pops and you're just doing whatever to get by after 6 years.
I think this season is the season where
Maybe.
they quit caring.
Maybe.
They were just like, all right, we've done everything we can do. Let's just fuck around for 2 years.
So I did notice that there was basically 2 sets. Do we see more of the inn in other episodes?
You see upstairs sometimes.
Rarely, but you do.
Stephanie's room and Dick and Joanne's room. I've drawn I drew when we were watching because I was so fascinated with the Stratford Inn.
It is a beautiful building.
Yeah, I got all the
The fake
exteriors
building.
of it and I started drawing the exterior of it and then I started drawing the floor plan inside and trying to figure out how it worked. It's pretty close to what they show on the exterior, but at the seasons it kind of changes a little bit here and there.
Well, TV floor plans don't make sense. It's kind of their own dimension where
Right.
space and time don't exist.
So if you came into the Stratford Inn on the ground floor in the entrance, you'd look right and there's the dining room down there. And you've come into a foyer that has like,
Is this a sitcom set architecture podcast?
they have the couch and the check-in desk and then the stairs that go upstairs to the bedrooms. Then they have, if to your left behind the check-in desk is Dick's office. See, I remember all this. Then above the garage is George's apartment, right?
Yes.
Like Fonzie. But you never see the inside of the garage.
So this episode is basically the townspeople are falling for War of the Worlds all over again because
The movie's playing.
the movie's
and
playing
they're that dumb.
on the local like PBS or whatever is playing.
It's on there. No, it's on Michael's station.
I mean, whatever.
That's like the big thing because that's the only.
WPIV.
He's like the only.
Why do I
one
remember that?
Who has WPIV? That's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one that really has any stakes because like he knows the ratings. Well,
So he lies. He's like,
Yeah.
we're not showing that tonight. And then all the people start to believe that they are in fact seeing alien things around town, like sounds of trucks whooshing
Yeah.
by on the
And
highway,
they heard cows mooing or something
suspicious
very
moves.
normal.
lights by the airfield.
Yeah, so they're all getting freaked out about things that are completely normal.
Yeah.
And they decide, what is happening is that aliens truly are trying to conquer Earth. And what they're going to do is offer Dick up to the aliens because he's the most famous one they have.
Yeah.
And he's going to be the sacrifice to the aliens.
And why is Dick famous?
Because he writes how-to but not novels,
that's
books.
his claim to fame.
They only think he's famous because he's a writer.
Oh, he also hosts Vermont Today.
He hosts the
Is that what it's
local
called?
TV show. Yeah.
And he owns the inn.
But he's not really. That's again the thing where he's
And he's
the
a
big
bald guy
fish.
that wears bifocals sometimes. That makes you look wise.
Yeah.
See? But then somehow it turns around again, and now they think Dick is actually an alien because of the way he was dressed. And that'll figure into the story for our next episode because of the way you were dressed. He's dressed like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. And I guess that's alien-like.
It was the closest thing.
But then it's okay because Larry, Daryl, and Daryl come to the rescue and they get the power back on and everything's fine. And
You
nobody
know-
believes that aliens are real anymore.
The reveal of they save Larry, Daryl, and Daryl are like the ace up the sleeve of the Newhart writers. And usually they turn up early in an episode. But this episode was so crammed. It was just crammed full of people that you only get this tiny. And you keep in mind that the Larry, Daryl, and Daryl were the Cosmo Kramer of the 80s. You know, like you wanted them, the wacky neighbor character. You wanted more of them. You never had enough of them.
They always came together.
And they always came together.
Yes.
And
That sounded gross.
because they're brothers.
Jesus.
They don't turn up until the very, very last scene.
Yeah.
And they are only flashlights and disembodied voices.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun scene where you saw nothing but the flashlights and you just hear disembodied voices.
Yeah, it was fun. It was funny too because you expect them in every episode and you're like, are they never going to show up?
And they did.
And then they did.
They saved the day.
Yeah, it was a cute way to bring them in at the end.
Dick doesn't need to be sacrificed, nor is he an alien.
I would highly recommend the first 3 seasons of Newhart to you if you're a sitcom fan.
I say go for all of
They're
it.
some of the best. And there are still some good episodes in these late seasons.
I do like the setting. It's very cozy.
It is. And it's the storylines are sometimes just so 80s and dumb, but the performances are always really good. And the comic timing, like they can get you laughing at some pretty dusty old jokes just because of how well they're delivered.
And also the laugh track will tell you when it's funny.
Well, that's
True.
You want to go with the ones that were filmed in front of a live audience. You avoid the ones, if it's suspicious, if you smell a rat, if you keep hearing one guy go, "Oh God," or something in the laugh track, and you're like, "That sounds like the same old God I heard earlier." Think about that.
Maybe that's just his laughing tick.
Michael, the character Michael in this, who's a spineless little turd.
Yeah.
But he's funny.
He's greedy.
He
Which one
references
was Michael? Was
he's-
he the
Peter Scolari.
Peter Scolari.
He was the Mountie, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that was
Okay.
his costume. He references a movie called The Boogans.
Which is real.
Is it any good?
It's okay.
Oh, okay.
It's funny they were going to air it.
Oh.
And they were kind of making it a punchline because it's
Yeah.
not a great movie. It's a B movie, but it's a
No, it sounds like he made it up, and I didn't know it was real.
yeah, it's real. It's an early 80s horror movie. It's like I can't remember if it's like some sort of monsters living under the house. I think there's even a book. I don't know if it's a novelization or if it's based on a book called The Boogans. But yeah,
I don't know.
It's a real deal. But they do they throw some shade at the Boogans.
Oh, poor Boogans.
Poor Boogans.
Catching strays for no reason.
Yeah,
What did Boogans
I don't want to miss the
do?
Boogans. Roll their eyes.
80s was meaner.
Let's see if it's streaming anywhere.
So yes, that was the season 6 Halloween episode of Newhart. Take me to your Loudon.
Yeah, I thought it was cute.
Well, thanks, Andy. Thanks for indulging.
Did you?
I mean, it is, but like you said, like it's later in the series, so it's not probably peak Newhart.
They're not trying as hard anymore.
Yeah, and just judging off of this, if this was like my first episode, I mean, it is my first episode, but it doesn't make me want to watch the other series. You know what I mean?
Right. I got you.
Yeah. Like I might take Freddy's suggestion and watch the first 3 seasons. I guess it goes downhill after 4 or something.
Well, it's not even like
I can't believe we're still talking.
but Newhart's like a comedy. It's like Cheers, Taxi.
It's really good, though.
Friends, any of those. It's really seriously.
Just because this was a
great.
super silly episode doesn't.
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
this show doesn't
there's still a
represent
lot
the
of
show.
great
This episode
episodes.
feels like a parody of what a normal episode is. It's everything's larger in it. I liked the episode, but
Yeah.
but it's also compared to
But we have all the
a
context.
regular episode, it's way overblown.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to take a walk on the wild side, you guys. We're coming from the 80s to the 90s. And we're going to talk about Beverly Hills 90210. An episode cleverly titled Halloween.
This aired on Halloween in 1991.
Season 2. I think it was
you,
episode 13.
you were 11 years old.
I would have been 11. I did not really watch Beverly Hills 90210 when it was airing. I watched most of the seasons later. And I stopped after a little bit because then I was like, this isn't any good anymore. But after they weren't in high school anymore, I was like, this isn't good anymore. So yeah, I did a rewatch, or not, or just a first time watch a few years back. And it was fun until it wasn't. And I stopped. But this episode is just pure Halloween with a little bit of sexual assault thrown in.
And a lot of judgmentalness.
90s were mean. I just said the 80s were mean. 90s were meaner.
There were many times where during this episode I would just shout it out, "Fuck you!"
Like for real.
To many characters. First to Brenda.
Oh.
I said "fuck you" to her
Because she was shaming the costume.
Yeah, and then I said "fuck you" to who's Ian Ziering's character?
Steve.
I said "fuck you" to Steve.
What did Steve do? I can't remember.
He said, "Don't be a squeef."
Don't be a squeef.
Yeah,
He did.
That was funny because the word "squeef" has no context.
It's like, did they make that word up on the fly?
I
I mean,
so.
did he mean queef? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. It's just sounds very California dude stuff or something.
Yeah.
Squeef.
I said "fuck you" to him. Then I said "fuck you" to the potential rapist.
Yeah.
And I said "fuck you" to Jenny Garth's character herself because she was just blaming herself, and it was very
I know.
like it's the 90s.
Yeah.
And
Just a lot of dated material.
She was blaming herself for almost being raped, and the show doesn't do a lot to reassure her of that before it ends.
Except the White Knight Luke Perry comes in, and he had probably the best advice that he gave to Jenny Garth's character, because she actually reassured her that it wasn't your fault, even though Brenda minutes before said, "Well, I warned you what was going to happen."
Yeah. That's the sick part, is that
This
the
episode was a
episode,
little sick.
it front loads it with some like "I told you so" prefixes.
Yeah.
That if you're really on the side of someone and saying that it's never justified, you don't spend the first two acts saying that it is.
This is how we used to think.
Yeah.
And what was normal. And then now, thank God, we've turned a corner where you realize it has nothing to do with what I'm wearing,
Yeah.
what I'm doing, whatever. If I say no, I say no. And anyway. But this episode,
like
that hadn't gotten all the way there yet.
Yeah, it's like that. It took a man to have that speech,
right?
Instead of the female characters reassuring Jenny Garth.
She had to
I get it. It's like a very of its time.
Yeah.
But I'm just still looking at this because I remember watching this series as a kid, but I was 10 years old, so I didn't really
we didn't absorb
know what was going on. Even though it's a very basic childish series, it was surprising.
It felt sophisticated to us at that age, though.
Yeah, but to the audience it's aimed for is very appropriate. But primetime stuff, you think it's going to be not so Disney Channel-ish.
Right.
This was very Disney Channel-ish.
It was interesting because we had been watching The Facts of Life, where they had an episode early on. And we're talking like 1980, 81 in that area, and where Natalie is almost sexually assaulted. And I feel like that episode did a lot more reassuring her that it was not her fault. Than this episode,
she's dressed up like Charlie Chaplin, so they don't even go into the message of whether or not she was provocative.
It was another Halloween episode where somebody was assaulted.
Yeah.
It
was Natalie.
Was it Halloween? I mean, why else would they be dressing up?
I'm not sure, but she was dressed as Charlie Chaplin.
It's Halloween. I guess it's time to get assaulted.
That show, you could be having so much fun in the first 5 minutes of Facts of Life, and by the end you can be completely like bummed out,
devastated.
And they're just like, well, now it's time to suck the air out of the room. Something awful's gonna happen.
Well, that's the Facts of Life, Freddy.
You take the good, you take the bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's real bad.
You think they took that to heart, the song lyrics, when they went into the writer's room? They're like, we need to make this episode 50% bad.
So Beverly Hills 90210 episode Halloween.
Yeah.
Did you know that Charles Fleischer guest starred on it?
Briefly.
Roger
Was he the
Rabbit?
Was he the guy at the costume store?
Yes. He was the guy who was helping them at the costume warehouse. Which was so... I love how they are unapologetically California. They're like, we're gonna go to a Hollywood costume warehouse and get our costumes
Wouldn't you
for
if
Halloween.
if you had one?
I mean, rich kids.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Because
Because
they're going to a Halloween party at somebody's mansion
Mm-hmm.
because it's Beverly Hills. You dig?
It is
I
a
did
not
like how many. Yeah, I did like how many actual pop culture costumes they threw in there.
Mhm.
Normally, it's generic cowboy or clown, but there were a lot of actual like characters.
The cowboy was the rapist.
Spoilers. Yes, there was a Frankenstein that was pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
There was a scissor hand.
Edward
There
Scissorhands.
was
Oh,
an
yeah.
Alf. An Alf walked
And
by.
Alf was
Dude.
dancing in the background,
Yeah.
man.
Background Alf really cushioned the blow of the sexual assault story.
Yeah, he made it
They
better.
even had like actual named turtles too.
Yep. This episode also starred Christina Elise, who Freddy looked her up, Child's Play 2.
Yeah, and other things, but mostly she's
Yeah,
Child's
her
Play.
face is very familiar. I think she did a lot of television in the 90s.
Yeah, she was on like a
That's what I'm
stretch
thinking.
of this, that, and the other. Wouldn't it be funny if there was a real show called that? I mean, several series. Not this, that, and the other, the series.
As far as costumes, like Brenda and Till and her Bonnie and Clyde, how hilarious. But Donna it won't tell anybody what costume she picked out because what she picked out she thinks is gonna win funniest costume. And then later, it's just a mermaid costume. What's so fucking funny?
I mean, it's funny that she can't move in it or go to the bathroom, but she wouldn't really. I don't think that's what she would have been thinking.
What's so funny about that, Andy?
I mean, is she supposed to be like a ditzy character, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe in her mind she thought it was funny.
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
I guess. Whatever.
And then like now since we're talking about Donna's mermaid costume, Steve comes up and lectures her about it for no reason. And that's when I said "fuck you" to Steve. Do you remember that part? It was
Well, she looked
Donna,
like
why
she
do you
was
keep
constantly
doing this?
pulling a wedgie out of her ass.
Yeah, she looked very uncomfortable the whole time.
Well, no, he came up to tell her, stop trying to be something you're not. Stop being uncomfortable for other people's comfort. Just be who you are.
Weird lesson.
Maybe that is her though.
Maybe. And it's not up to him to question.
Yes, but it was just the tone of it where he was like, guys really like it when you're yourself.
It's a fucking Halloween costume
And
contest.
that's all that's important, Andy.
exactly. It's just
You should, girl, you must have low self-esteem all dressed up like that on Halloween.
Well,
What are you hiding from?
Speaking of, Kelley's costume is like some sort of witch costume, but which costume is that? Because it is majorly sexy for a not 18-year-old
It's like lingerie.
to be wearing. The show wants you to ogle
Uh-huh.
a character that is probably 16, 17 years old.
And the character is really loving that.
Man, the 90s were weird
and
when we
everyone
think about it
around her,
now.
they're like, man, great costume. Mm.
Except for Brenda, who's basically like, that's going to get
Yeah.
you into trouble.
Yeah.
and I didn't get witch out of that costume
I
at all.
didn't either.
More sorceress maybe, but for a witch you need the hat at least.
Right. You need a wart or something, a broom.
Yeah.
Give me something. Hello, it's Halloween.
I love a classic witch.
But she just got broken up with by somebody, so I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna,
Just-
flirt with all the boys.
Yep, titties first, right into it. And she's having a great time. Good for her.
Yeah.
I just,
You're thinking from the producer side of it.
It's
You're
a
like, it's a
little-
little icky.
well, ever since you watched that whole Nickelodeon,
You assume all of them are like
I
that.
just assume they're all.
Well, there's news coming
But
out
I know
about other
the
people now, too.
the actresses were of age, and so that's fine. But it's just still sort of weird. Anyway, the boys though, are their whole storyline is basically like they're nostalgic for their youthful egg fights that they used to have on Halloween.
Egg fights. I've never heard of two people fighting each other with eggs until I saw this episode.
Yeah, I remember we threw eggs at cars and houses, but we didn't fight each other with eggs.
Yeah.
Must be a California thing.
Yeah.
Nobody wants egg on them.
Egg fights. You egg somebody's house. You don't egg
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
That's unsanitary.
Uh-huh.
And when I say like the boys, that's basically Brandon loses some kids from some chick Christina Lee said they're trying to hook up.
He loses some kids.
And he loses her niece and nephew when they're trick-or-treating.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I lost track
those
of those
kids.
storylines. I forgot about, there's the twins who come trick-or-treating at his house. And they're like, well, why don't you just take them?
Why don't you go with her and take the kids for trick-or-treating?
It's because
teenagers.
she wants to flirt with them.
Yeah,
Child's
oh,
Play
yeah.
2
Yeah.
wants to flirt with new
So they
James
go out
Dean.
trick-or-treating, but then they lose the kids. That's all.
Yeah.
They find the kids.
Very quickly, too.
It worked out.
Yeah.
They lost those kids.
Yeah.
And they're both ghosts, but for some
kids.
reason they tied that string around their neck
That is
over
weird,
their-
right?
over the sheets. And I've never seen ghosts like that. I'm sorry.
It made it
Yeah.
creepier a little.
Maybe like those tissue paper lollipop ghosts.
Is it
maybe?
just to keep the sheet from blowing around and getting all
I
messed up?
guess.
I mean, I've been a ghost under a sheet, and I'll tell you that the trick is keeping that shit lined up where it's supposed to be if you don't have stuff like that.
So I guess the rope wrapped around the neck would have helped, but seemed dangerous.
Yeah.
A little bit. Alf ends up hitting on Kelley. Remember?
Yeah. She shoots him down.
She shot him down, though.
Is that the one that she told to drive off the pier or something?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, there
The
was
Santa
one-
Monica Pier.
The rejection of one was like, I'm like, he just was nice. He was nicely asking you a
it was-
question.
Like it was disproportionate to
It was. She told him to kill himself.
What she asked, from what he asked.
Essentially, she did. She's like, drive to the Santa Monica Pier and keep driving. When you get there, that means drown. She wants him to drown.
She wants him to drown.
And he was like, excuse me, would you like to dance?
That's basically
She's
it.
she's like, go on and live yourself.
Yeah. Die.
Then she meets
Well,
the cowboy.
Because I remember that guy hitting on her was like, go take my dad's Infinity and go drive around for a little bit.
Yeah.
And all she had, like, maybe that is a little aggressive. I don't know.
I thought he was a little aggressive.
Yeah, maybe
But-
I was missing something there.
But it still didn't warrant to, take your daddy's Infinity and go drive off the pier.
I'd be like, no, thank you. But then if he came back with another round, I'd have been like, kill yourself.
So anyway, she meets the cowboy and then the bad things happen, but don't worry, she's saved in the end, but she still kind of blames herself, and I'm not sure how that's going to go. I hope she gets therapy in the next episode.
Brenda blamed her too, so.
Yeah. Brenda told you so to her a little bit. But really we need to talk about the mom. Brandon and Brenda's mother. And the tie she was wearing.
The itty bitty necktie?
Why was that tie like 4 inches long?
She was like Wimpy from Popeyes.
Because she's a lady. Because ladies have to wear, because she wore a regular tie, it would be going against social norms.
I
But a tiny lady tie is
Tiny lady tie.
acceptable.
It's no, because she wore it with a button up, like a patterned button up.
She wasn't in a
tie.
costume. She was just wearing.
It had a
yeah.
pumpkin on
It
the
did.
tie,
It did.
but it was like 4 inches long, and I
I
just
feel that was just of its time in terms of
Yeah.
fashion.
It was from the Paula Poundstone collection.
Yeah. Remember?
even Paula Poundstone would say that is a little much.
Maybe.
Because remember like the fashion thing where like oversized blazers or vests
Yes.
over button ups. That was very like men's wear as
Yeah.
as women's wear.
Yeah. I remember that fad. Tad?
You
I
remember
remember
that
Tad.
fad? A tad?
I remember a tad of that fad.
Cool. Beverly Hills 90210.
These were fun picks, Amy.
Thanks. I aim to please a little bit.
You know, I love the nostalgia of it all.
And I don't think this is true, but this drive-in episode of Bob's Burgers, I highly recommend you watch this, Andy. I know you haven't been watching the Bob's Burgers in a
Yeah, it
while.
was like drive-in, anything by drive-ins. Yeah, I'm on board.
I'm considering that a little spooky season Halloween precursor to what they usually do for Halloween, because they're playing like a spooky, not a spooky, but like a scary sci-fi movie at the drive-in. And I consider that also a Halloween special that I watched. There's your review. It's a good time.
Well worth it, even if you're not a regular viewer of the show.
Yeah. So thank you for introducing me to Newhart,
You're welcome.
and thank you for the problematic episode of Beverly Hills.
You're welcome.
So we're going to do yours next
good to
week,
talk.
Andy?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, Andy will be next week, and then Freddy. We're going in youngest to oldest.
Youngest to oldest.
Andy's middle child.
So Andy, which specials did you pick?
We are doing Star Trek, the first series. Original series called Cat's Paw.
Ooh.
I figured this would be a good just way to introduce myself to Star Trek because I've never seen any Star Trek.
You've chosen a very strange episode to start Star Trek with. It's a weird episode.
I looked up Star Trek Halloween and this came up.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just weird, really weird.
And I also chose Over the Garden Wall, episode 2. Something about the Huskin Fair. You've seen the imagery of the pumpkin people.
Yeah,
I've never seen this series either. But every Halloween season, I see that pictures from that episode where all the pumpkin-headed citizens are dancing around, and I was like, "This is the most Halloween thing I've ever seen in my life."
Pumpkin-headed
So I'm gonna watch that.
citizens.
Attention, all you pumpkin-headed citizens.
That is my new band name, the Pumpkin-headed Citizens.
Oh, hey, Pumpkinhead.
I'm super excited for that.
Don't do it like that, Andy. Don't do it like Michael Jackson.
So the algorithm has spat up some interesting stuff, but we've also been doing the Halloween League. So
Yeah,
we watched Event Horizon last night.
I slept through Event Horizon last night.
You've seen it several times.
I've
so
seen it before, though. It's a
Yeah.
great one for me, at least. I think it's fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love cosmic horror stuff, and
What-
that's a good one, I think.
Andy, when was the last time you watched Event Horizon? Do you remember?
A couple years ago.
Did you feel like the CG effects were kind of hilariously bad at points?
I mean, it's 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very shiny and sharp.
Yeah,
That's what I describe 90s CGI.
and the music too. Like I remember thinking it had a good score when it came out, and now I'm kind of like the score hasn't aged super well, but the movie's still a lot of fun. It's exciting.
Yeah, like, a lot of great, really good horror scenes
Yeah,
and gore and stuff like that.
good actors too. That makes a
Yeah.
huge difference, especially like the stuff that maybe doesn't age well. The performances definitely aged beautifully. They're all good. Sam Neill is great as a guy who's kind of fallen apart.
He does that well.
We're gonna be watching Upgrade tonight. Excited about that.
Yes, you mentioned.
But otherwise, Shaun of the Dead was in our week this week. That one still great, maybe even better with age.
You let the flavors mellow together.
Yeah.
I've kind of turned a corner on Shaun of the Dead. I loved it when I was younger, but looking back on it as a curmudgeonly adult, I'm like, Sean's a jerk.
He's not that bad,
He got a lot of people killed.
but he's a young dude. Like it's the thing about that character is he's stunted, and that's kind of the beauty of it is he's not perfect.
I get it, but it's very infuriating sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that happened to you, Andy.
you can't forgive him.
Tastes change as you older.
True.
So,
Truly.
is there anything else that you guys watched that stood out to you?
Watch another episode of Last Bite Motel with Titus Burgess, and when they die, someone inherits their ingredients. They will them.
Oh.
When they get eliminated from the show, means do they have like a fun kill scene when they get eliminated?
They go up to room 13 and then they turn up in a painting with Titus Burgess downstairs. It's so
Ridiculous.
dumb. It's so dumb. And I still feel like up 2 episodes in, I don't know why I'm still watching it, but I still feel like they're just kind of like half devoted to the theme. It just always feels tacked on so much. Because the reality of the cooking competition seems serious enough, and then all of a sudden he's popping in like googly eyed and talking like the Haunted Mansion host.
Well,
It's ridiculous.
Ghost host.
The ghost host.
Are all the recipes like spooky?
No, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's not fully committed. Like the only
It's
thing
just a
that's
regular
spooky,
cooking competition reality
Yeah.
show in that regard.
except for the host and how they eliminate the guests. Otherwise, it's just a straight cooking show.
Mm.
It's weird.
What about you, Andy?
Well, I've watched I'm going on my own. I'm going to go my own way. So like, I don't want to go through everything I've seen, but
All right, but anything interesting?
I watched the New Salem's Lot.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
good. But then again, I feel that's kind of going against the grain because a lot of people have reference to a reference point. I've never read the book, so all I know, all I'm going off is on the movie, and I enjoyed the movie
And you've seen both of the old versions?
years and years ago. So
Okay.
I don't consider I've seen them since I don't remember them. since
Right.
it's
So this
long
is
ago.
like this will be your Salem's Lot going forward.
Oh my goodness.
And I was telling Freddie and Amy that it was nice to see our co-star Lewis Pullman again. on the big
Oh,
screen.
from The Strangers 2, you guys
Yeah.
co-starred. Yes.
He's super talented.
Yeah, so good for him. And another one that probably like my favorite that I watched over the last week was Saint Maud.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a little bleak, but it's still good.
Had you seen it before?
No, it's for sure.
That
I'm
ending,
trying to do all first time watches. Yeah.
that ending really blew me away. I was shocked.
Who did Saint Maud?
It's the same director who did Love Lies Bleeding, which is also excellent.
Oh, okay. That's why I recently heard that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, she's
see.
It's a lady director.
Yeah.
Get out of
So good for
town.
her.
She's awesome. I can't imagine what she's going to do next, but like super creative and just like does stuff that you just will not see coming in
Yeah.
both movies.
might-
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you consider Love Lies Bleeding horror adjacent?
It's a noir movie. If you consider film noir a kind of horror, I mean, it's violent, and there's things in there that I to tell you too much about it would be to spoil, like, because there's some twists and turns in that movie that I think are
Okay.
pretty unpredictable.
Maybe I'll watch it after October. Yeah, I was trying to find an excuse to watch it this
Oh.
month, but
I mean,
I'm all full up of movies.
Ed Harris looks like Riff Raff in it. That makes it kind of Halloweeny.
Oh, even like with the stringy hair and stuff.
Yeah, apparently he put the extensions in as a joke, and then the director liked him so much they told him just to wear it as the costume. So he wears these Riff Raff style hair extensions.
Wow.
And
Can't believe I missed
it's weird
that.
because the movie I had watched right before watching that was Night Riders. Amy and I watched, where it was Ed Harris's first movie.
Who was that? Romero.
George Romero directed. Yeah. Have you seen that, Andy?
Is that a horror too, or is it like
No.
an action
No, not at
movie?
all.
We didn't know what it was
It's
getting into
nothing
it.
and everything.
You think it's one thing. Like, I've always seen stills from it.
It's one of the
growing up.
strangest movies I've ever seen.
And you think it's going to be about like medieval knights in a post-apocalyptic world where they
Didn't
ride
we talk about
motorcycles or
this on-
something. I feel like we did,
Huh.
but it might not have been on the show.
Yeah.
And it's really just like a Ren Fair group who joust on motorcycles. But Ed Harris's first movie, super strange character.
Oh, night as in K-I.
Mhm.
Yeah,
K-N,
Night Riders,
as
yeah.
opposed to like night as in the
as in the
Nighttime.
time
Day,
of day.
yeah.
Yeah. It's night as in K-I.
Oh, he says.
Great movie though, really weird movie, but it's weird to bookend it with this one because you're just like he's playing another kind of like figurehead character again.
In Love Lies Bleeding.
Yeah,
Okay. I got you now.
yeah.
I lost the thread.
It feels like a
The
bookend.
thread Harris there for a second.
The thread Harris.
Oh,
That's right. She did it. Can you hand me the Beelzebub's list?
I sure can. There you go.
Were you ready for me to say it?
I think so. Is there anything else you recommend, Andy, or interesting shit going on?
yeah, like yeah, I can go on, but like that's we'll leave it till next week to talk about some more selections.
Yes. All the movies all the time. At the end of every show, we always say hi to our Beelzebubs. Patreon.com/NOTLP if you want to be one. Matt, Branan and Emily, Jeffel, Iona Goodwin,
Oh, and a great one.
Dr. Brian.
You kind of sound like a naughty teacher calling roll. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Old Dirty Billsterd, Bill Fahrner, Blayne Yogurt, Jordache Jeans, Monica, Jeremy, Cassie, Gamora, Ernest, Dave, and Paul. All our love to the people in the path of this hurricane. This is scary shit. And I can't stop thinking about you. So I don't know what that will do, but it's what I'm doing.
That's what I'm doing too.
He just cut you off.
And on that note,
I'm playing
All
off the
right.
stage.
all right, y'all.
Thanks everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Frankenstein was wondering if he should go to bed when his old bud